be so mean to Beanie?" said Woody, standing up for his shy sister, even though Coco was the biggest and he was the smallest. "At least she isn't a frizzy-furred old stinky bottom." "Ha ha!" laughed Chestnut and Nutmeg. "Oh, you little—" shrieked Coco, lunging for her little brother, which proved difficult to do in such a tight space, so she ended up on top of everyone. The young otters all began squabbling, which they often did, having spent their whole lives sharing one small chamber between the 5 of them, and they were squabbling so ferociously they missed Papa's big news. He pressed his paws either side of his whiskers and yelled it again at the top of his voice. "We're moving home!" he boomed. Grandma Maple and Grandpa Bruno snapped awake, while Woody, Beanie, Nutmeg, Chestnut and Coco fell silent for a whole 2 seconds before they all leapt forward to ask the same question. "Can I have my own room?" they pleaded. "Please!" "Yes," smiled Papa Brown. "You may have your own chamber." "Who?" asked Beanie and Woody, wondering which of their siblings they would no longer have to share with. "Who's getting their own room?" "I should get it," said Chestnut. "Nutmeg snores." "I should get it," said Nutmeg. "Chestnut farts." "I should get it," demanded Coco. "I'm the eldest and by far the prettiest."
"Actually, all 5 of you will have your own chambers," Papa smiled proudly. "And there'll be one for me and Mama, and another for Grandma and Grandpa, and one left over."
Now he had his family's undivided attention, Papa Brown told everyone about the enormous den he'd found abandoned upstream, waving his paws about as he described the grand scale and sprawling layout of their brand new home. It was called Cottonwood Lodge and was a mud-caked mansion compared to the cramped conditions they currently lived in. They would be swapping 3 small chambers with 3 narrow connecting tunnels for 8 large chambers with a network of 6 wide tunnels and an indoor splash pool and mooring pad and a mudslide and storage galore. "Who used to live there?" asked Mama Brown, eyes glazing over as she began mentally decorating with sludge, twigs and the finest moss while allocating chambers and stores for their supplies.
"I found out from a passing river rat that the lodge belonged to a beaver and his wife and their 10 little kits," said Papa.
The others gathered round, bright eyes sparkling as they imagined their new home.
"He built extension after extension as his family grew, but eventually there were just too many children to fit, so they had to move on."
"That was one busy beaver," said Mama Brown. "When are we going?" asked Coco. She was keen to have her own room where she could tend to her appearance all day long, away from annoying brothers and sisters who rubbed her fur up the wrong way.
"With prime property like that, we don't want anyone else moving in, so there's no time to lose," said Papa. "We will head off first thing in the morning, which means you should all get an early night."
There was a snuffle from the corner of the chamber where Grandpa Bruno and Grandma Maple had already made a head start, having fallen asleep in a cosy cuddle. "There's a lot of packing to do," said Mama, "so we'll be relying on you all to be responsible for your own bedding and anything else you want to take with us." "Yes, Mama," the otters said excitedly, and dashed off to gather their few belongings before their last night of sharing a chamber. And for the first time ever, there were no arguments between the brothers and sisters because they were too excited about the new home. They were all lost in their own thoughts about what their new chambers would be like. Coco imagined sitting in her room, smoothing her fur dreamily. Chestnut imagined a room with no Nutmeg and no snoring. Nutmeg imagined a room with no Chestnut and no farting. And Beanie imagined daydreaming all day and having midnight feasts on her own. Woody simply looked forward to having his own space, a place without warring twins or a vain big sister who was always in a mood. Beanie was no trouble at all, but it would be nice to have a room where he could have other pups over to play. He couldn't wait to tell his best